I'm here in a beautiful location in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have had the privilege and honor of hosting this Model S Plaid. This is a brand new 2023 Model S Plaid of a friend of mine who lives here locally, and I spent the last couple of days helping him wrap this car in PPF. But I've also had a chance to really put this thing through its paces. And today's video is going to be all about that, checking out this Plaid, talking about the good things, the bad things, and why the Model S Plaid might be the right choice for you. Now, the Model S Plaid, as a part of the Model S refresh, has been out for a few years now. And what's so special about the Plaid? Well, it takes ludicrous and bumps it even faster. As a matter of fact, this Model S Plaid is rated for 1.99 0 to 60. Now, Tesla does do a 1 foot rollout on all their numbers, and just doing some passes ourselves until my stomach could no longer fathom it, we were able to get 2.44 seconds 0 to 60. Now, we had a couple faster that were slightly unverified because of slope, but on these tires in 63 degrees and not 100% battery, 2.44 seconds is pretty incredible. And you are definitely going to be looking at even faster than that in the ideal conditions. Now, regardless of what those actual numbers end up being, you are going to be so hard pressed to find any car on the road that's faster than this. As a matter of fact, minus any supercars in the 1.5 million and up, there's only one other car on the road that now just started delivering that is faster than this, and that is the Lucid Air Sapphire. Lucid Air Sapphire comes in at $250,000 and gets you 0 to 60 in about 1.8, 1.9 seconds, whereas this 0 to 60, 1.99 seconds. However, the starting price, $89,990. So that's really the value here, is something that Tesla has really taken control of the auto industry, in my opinion. Cars like this should not exist at this price. This is supercar fast, less than 2 seconds 0 to 60, and a price tag under $100,000. Even after taxes, titles, and fees, you're right at about $100,000. Matter of fact, the way that this one is configured with these beautiful arachnid wheels and the cream interior, of course the ultra red paint, which is now an included color, this one came in just over about $110,000 with taxes and fees for my friend. So that kind of money for faster than likely anything you will see on the road or come across, that's a hell of a deal. But first, a shout out to today's video sponsor, Drive Protected. Drive Protected provides DIY PPF pre-cut kits just for you to DIY PPF your own car. Now, this Model S behind me is here for a reason, and it is because for the last couple of days, I have been wrapping this car, the entire car. And when I got quotes, it was $7,000 or more to have this thing wrapped in PPF. Now, the cost to get a full wrap from Drive Protected is somewhere around $2,500, so about $5,000 or more in savings compared to having a professional do it. So if you're considering wrapping your vehicle, check out Drive Protected's website. They've got a kit just for you, and by using code BTG, you're going to save some money. And the best part is now it's officially risk-free guarantee. So if you mess up a panel and you need a new panel, Drive Protected will ship you a replacement panel for just the cost of shipping, and you will have a completely new piece to fix it. So thanks again to Drive Protected for sponsoring today's video. Aside from performance, what does that $89,990 get you? Well, it gets you a very nice, well-equipped vehicle that has a very nice cooled and heated seat interior. You have screen in the front, you have a screen in the back. But one of the unique features about the Model S that is probably the most overlooked is the fact that it has a lift gate in the back rather than a traditional trunk. And the reason why that's important is because the storage and cargo capacity in this vehicle is far more than you would expect from a full-size sedan like this. Add in the front frunk and the sub trunk, and you've got quite the package here when you're hauling your things around. This thing can really not just pack the power, but it can pack your stuff, and that's what makes it so special and unique. As a matter of fact, you can add a roof rack to put your gear on top of the car as well, and comfortably seat 5 people inside of this car. At $89,990, 0 to 60, 1.99 seconds, you start at 396 miles of range. Now, if you get these beautiful arachnid wheels like we have on this vehicle, you're going to drop down to 348 miles of range, but that's not too much of a sacrifice if you're looking for quite a look, because quite honestly, the standard wheels that come on here are definitely meant for aero efficiency, not for looks, and these just look beautiful. So there are options to do that. When you do get the standard wheels, you still get the same car as a whole. You get the upgraded brake package. The suspension is adaptive and it is very responsive, and you get all the same powertrain features, including that tri-motor Plaid setup to get this thing rolling down the road. Now, for an additional $20,000, you can get what's called the Track Pack, and that's going to unlock 200 miles per hour speed. It's going to give you bigger brakes, and it's also going to give you some performance tires for your Plaid. Seems like a lot of money, but if you are going to put this thing on the track, you have to get these performance upgrades. As a matter of fact, one of the early complaints about the Plaid was that the brakes were undersized. However, these brakes have had no issue slowing us down in any of our situations, and I do know that these have been improved since the initial run. Now, the Tesla Model S Plaid does give you quite a vehicle for the money, and if you don't need 0 to 60 in 1.99, of course you can get the long range, and the long range is going to come in now at 74,990. So it's the same base car without the Plaid motors and the upgraded brakes, and that is going to get you 0 to 60 under 3.5 seconds. One of the cool things about the Plaid, even the long range for that matter, is the suspension. It's super sophisticated, and some of the things that it can do are very useful. For instance, this particular car is set up to raise automatically when my friend gets home, because his curb and the angle of his driveway is a little bit steep, and to have a performance car and be able to raise the suspension so you're not grounding out the front bumper or the rear, that's pretty useful. But what's also nice is when you're on the highway, this thing can automatically lower itself down to give you better efficiency on the highway. And of course, if you go in launch mode, it will lower the front end to give you what's called cheetah stance. And what that's going to do is help you disperse the weight of this vehicle so that when you romp on it, this thing gives you maximum traction available. So the Model S and the Model X are very similar. So you're going to get the same type of seat. You're going to get the same screen, same heads-up display steering wheel. It's basically the same experience on the inside. Of course, the X is an SUV, sits taller, has a little bit more space on the inside, and gives you some more flexibility in the back. But because of that, you're going to have that premium experience from Tesla, Tesla's version of a premium experience. So the inside is very comfortable. This one allows you to have cooled and heated seats. Of course, the heated steering wheel. So regardless of where you're located, this has some comfort features that you're really going to appreciate. And again, at the price point that it is now, it is quite a value for the money, I would argue. Some of the questions you might have, however, are, why would I pick this over a Model 3? Or why would I pick this over any other electric vehicle that's on the market? So specifically looking at Tesla, you're going to be spending quite a bit more money for this over the Model 3. If you're looking at a 3 and you're looking at this, is it worth the upgrade? If you want the performance and if you want the space on the inside, the answer is obviously yes. Like all other Teslas, this one has that very Tesla interior. It's simple and it's not very cold on the inside, or industrial as some would say, but the inside is very nice and it's clean and everything's organized as it should be. Now, all these things are great, and the Model S Plaid is a fantastic car. However, it doesn't come without its drawbacks. And most notably, the lack of ultrasonic sensors and the lack of radar. Although this car does technically have a radar, it's not being used to use any of the driver assistance features. The removal of all those things has been quite controversial, and I have been fortunate to be a part of that whole transition going to vision only, and quite honestly, it is making progress. However, if this is your first Tesla and you get in it, you're probably going to be a little surprised at how it behaves. And that is because it is a beta program, and there's no question about it. It's in development, but it also requires a lot more learning on the front end versus something like the ultrasonic sensors that have been used for many years and is very reliable. So for some people, that's going to be a pretty big drawback and something to really think about. This is vision only, period. There's nothing else on this car that's being used to determine what obstacles are around it, where the lanes on the road are, and what is in front of you, behind you. So when you are on the road, it's relying on these cameras to do all the work for you, which in most cases is pretty good. However, there are some situations when that's not such a great thing, and that is something to be aware of when you're thinking about any Tesla, not just the Model S Plaid. In addition, at this price point, in this version of luxury, minus the performance, if you are looking just at maybe the long-range Model S, I think you're getting most of those quote-unquote luxury features that you would expect. However, with other brands, you're likely to get a few more luxury features that you don't get in the Model S Plaid. Things like massaging seats or some of the other ambient features that give you better visibility, gives you some customization of the vehicle. That's not present here. But in foregoing that, you get a Tesla, you get Tesla performance, you get Tesla reliability, and you get the Tesla supercharging network. Now, the good news for everybody else is most manufacturers at this point have signed on to join the Tesla supercharging network, but we're still 3 to 5 years out from that really being the norm here in North America. So this continues to be the first car in this class to consider. Whether you're thinking of a Lucid or you're thinking of a Porsche Taycan, you're also going to be considering this, and rightfully so. And at the end of the day, until NACS is standard for all vehicles, I argue it is very hard, especially as you climb to this price point, to justify anything but a Tesla. It's a very hard pill to swallow when you spend $100,000 and your experience is Electrify America, which does not have the best reliability. And the higher up you go into this price point, the more demanding you are as a consumer, and rightfully so. Really, the hardest thing for me to do is to come up with a way to think of this without the supercharging network, because that is such a critical piece to electric vehicles. Being able to pull up and not even think about, is this charger going to work? And not even think about, is there a charger on my route? Everything is so integrated in this car. It just makes life simple. It truly is the Apple of cars. From your phone to the screen in the car, everything is integrated. It's nicely put together. You don't have to call the service center. You just schedule it on your phone. You don't have to fumble around with the screen if you don't want while you're eating lunch with friends and you find out where you're going next on your phone. You can literally send that address to your car so that when you get in it, it's already navigating there. You just put your foot on the brake and it already knows if it needs to go in forward or reverse most of the time. And it's just a convenient vehicle. You don't have to think about much. And that's really what Tesla has done so well with all their vehicles. The Model S, of course, no exception to that. And one of the very bright spots on the Model S and Model X is the charging speed on this thing. Now, yes, there are cars out there that charge faster technically, but combine Tesla's supercharging network with the speed in which this thing can charge, it's incredible. It does not have 350 kilowatt peak charge rate like some other competitors, but it can hit 250 and it can maintain 250 kilowatt for quite a period of time. As a matter of fact, in my Model X, I'm able to maintain 250 kilowatt charge rate from 11% to 33%, which is incredible. Now, there are some better charge curves out there, but this car can charge super fast. It's very convenient, and this is not just a track car. This is the perfect road trip car too. Even with these upgraded large wheels that generally will give you a rougher ride, that air suspension is so good and so adaptive that you're really not going to notice much of a difference in the ride quality on these wheels versus the standard ones with a taller sidewall. Now, originally Tesla launched this vehicle with a yoke steering wheel being the standard option. Now the round wheel is the standard option. Now, if you want the yoke steering wheel, it's now a paid option, and you can probably find somebody locally that wants to swap out that has an earlier vehicle if you truly want the yoke, or you can just pay Tesla for it. But the nice thing about the steering wheel is it gives you a more traditional feel, but it does not change the controls, which is one of the other larger downfalls of the Model S. As we look at the steering wheel, everything is there. There's no stocks. You don't change the gears. You don't use a switch to turn the turn signals. Everything's on the steering wheel or the screen. The going into reverse, drive, neutral on the screen is not that bad to get used to, and it's really not a big deal at all. However, the turn signals is where it really starts to become noticeable. I've gotten mostly used to it, but I would still prefer a stock if I'm being honest. And the lack of a horn in the traditional horn location can be very frustrating if you actually need to use your horn, as you have a button, a haptic button on the steering wheel. It's not in the best spot to hit the horn on this vehicle. That is something that traditional consumers are probably going to be very split on if that's something they want to deal with or not, but you do not have an option, even with the yoke, even with the round steering wheel. Those haptic buttons are how you control everything as you're driving. Turn signals, brights, voice control, radio, all of the controls right there on the steering wheel. So something that you're going to have to get used to, and this is being rolled out to all Teslas. This is not just S and X. It's starting to come now with Project Highland or the refresh Model 3. And of course, we assume it will be coming when we get the refresh Model Y as well. At the end of the day, we're talking about supercar performance under 6 figures, and a car that you're likely not gonna find another one to beat you on the road. What's there not to like about that?